Well, hello, Jan from Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, the Loft Warehouse, back with another one of my monthly market updates. This month, the topic is interest rates and inventory and how they are both affecting buyer demand. So, we will get into details on both of these topics, but let's just get started with a quick summary of where we are in the market. February inflation numbers came out and came back higher than expected, which is probably why we are seeing interest rates starting to tick back up to the high sixes right now after hovering around 6 at the beginning of the month. Some loans even having a little 5 at the beginning of them, like a 5.99 for some 15 years and things like that. But the biggest problem that is going to affect the spring market, I predict, is not interest rates, but the low level of inventory we are still currently experiencing because we have not kept up with building since the Great Recession, building new housing. So buyers are still out there shopping for houses, and especially in the suburban markets, I've been hearing anecdotally that buyers are starting to experience lots of competition with other buyers. Again, not enough houses on the market for all of the buyers that want to buy. So we're seeing multiple offer situations happening again. So buyers, get out there now if you're thinking of buying a house, because I predict it is going to get much worse when more buyers enter the market in the spring. All right, well, let's talk about interest rates and how they are affecting buyer behavior. So I want to bring up an interest rate graph just to set the stage on where interest rates started at the beginning of 2022. This goes from the beginning of 22 through the present day. As you can see that the rates in 2022 topped out in November in the low sevens. They have come down since then, but are starting to tick back up into the high sixes. And I think it remains to be seen where rates are going to end up. It is definitely, or where they're going to top out, it is definitely going to depend on the inflation numbers and any future responses to inflation that the Fed might take. So that's why we're definitely seeing more volatility in the rate than we have since the end of last year, very beginning of this year. So this graph was created in January to sort of comment on buyer behavior based on where rates sort of currently stand. Or so you can see under 6% we have strong buyer demand. Where we are currently between 6.5% and 7% limited buyer demand. I would almost imagine that this graph needs to be updated, because what we are starting to see in certain submarkets, especially the suburban markets of Detroit, that even between 6.5% and 7%, we are seeing good buyer demand. As we talked about earlier, multiple offer situations, lots of competition, even at these higher rates. So that might actually have something to do, this change in buyer behavior, due to buyers just being more accepting of these new normal interest rates. And I want to reference a quote from Allie Wolf. She is the chief economist of Zonda. And she said, "I wonder if some consumers have worked through the 5 stages of grief of higher mortgage rates." And I do think that there is something to this. Just to remind you, the 5 stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. I think there is definitely something to the idea that buyers are now accepting of these rates as the new normal. They've decided it is not going to prevent them from becoming home buyers. And I'm sure that there is going to be a point in rates where it will start affecting buyer behavior more. But as we are seeing today, some submarkets are full steam ahead, and it'll be interesting to kind of see where it goes from there. All right, so I'm going to talk about inventory next, and why the current inventory levels are defying the market, the economist prediction that home values were scheduled to go down in a significant way starting at the beginning of this year because of interest rates. And we are just not seeing that right now because inventory levels are remaining super low for the buyers that want to buy houses. So the reason that experts were predicting home values going down, a lot of experts were predicting as much as 5% because of this graph. So as you can see, in 2017, 18, and 19, these were the last normal years of the real estate market. You can see that new listings sort of peaked. They sort of peak every year in May and start to tick back down. This is a very normal seasonality year after year. So 2022 comes along, and in June, you're still seeing an uptick of new listings. So that dotted line is what experts were predicting, that because all of a sudden new listings were behaving very differently than previous normal years, they were expecting inventory levels to just continue to go up and up and up, and therefore home values would just go down and down and down. Now, in reality, what we were seeing is this is the actual. The red line just sort of came down more significantly than in those previous normal years. So this is 21% in December, 21% decline from the previous normal years. So this is exactly why we're having an inventory shortage, because new listings are down, and therefore home values are remaining fairly stable. So there's no other way to go about saying this. We are just simply short the amount of houses that should be on the market, and that is due to being underbuilt and also due to sellers not wanting to put their houses on the market because they don't want to let go of a low interest rate that they currently have and trade that for a higher interest rate. So there's definitely seller rate lock happening. So economists have modeled some predictions as far as how many houses really should be on the market right now to keep up with demand. So you can see that here, the highest of which is Realtor.com predicting that we are over 5 million homes short to the market. On the low end, Moody's saying 1.6 million. And if we look at this graph of the average annual inventory of homes for sale, we are at record lows for the past quarter century. So even though we have inventory has increased since the lowest point in 2021, we are still at record lows since this graph started in 1999. So this is problematic, and until we are able to fix the inventory amounts in the United States, we will continue to have a lot of demand and home values continuing to increase at a steeper rate because of this specific dynamic. Lastly, let's look at some local data. This is for the entire MLS system, which I've talked about before, is like larger than Southeast Michigan and can cover even a larger part of Michigan because of data sharing with other MLSs. It can cover a lot of Michigan. So the amount of homes on the market have gone up about 2,000 since exactly 1 year ago, from January to January, but down 2,000 homes on the market from last month. So inventory has gone up since a year ago, but gone down since a month ago. And as far as new listings are concerned, we're about 1,000 listings down from a year ago, January to January, but we have increased new listings 2,000 from a month ago. So people are starting to put their homes back on the market, at least since last month. Hopefully that will help take care of a little bit more, give a little bit more relief to the inventory challenges that we're currently experiencing. So thanks so much for watching. If you get value from these videos, I would love to hear from you. Please respond and tell me any questions questions or comments, if there's anything that you would like me to talk about in next month's video, please do let me know as well. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next month.